Well, it was a good time for me in my life personally. My children are older and mostly out of the house, and it seemed like a time that our government needed people to step up and stand for what we believe is right, and I felt very moved to do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, was there something maybe in Missouri politics? The national discourse is very divided. We are in troubling times. Was it those times that made you decide that you were going to run for office? Was there one event? What triggered that decision?
Well, I was certainly galvanized and affected by the national conversation and recent events. The 2016 election really held my attention for quite a while, both before and after. Mm-hmm. And I started looking at I started looking at what can I do, and thought about the process of redistricting that goes on here in the state of Missouri, thought about the gerrymandering and how one political party can keep its congressmen in control and in power simply by how they draw the districts, and how difficult it becomes to unseat a congressman or a congresswoman, as the case may be, no matter how unpopular that congressman is. It's just so hard to vote them out, and that's not what democracy is about. If a congresswoman isn't doing their job, she should be voted out.
Now, you are in a really perplexing district. Like you said, I think you were referring to gerrymandering districts there. Mm-hmm. It's the largest district in Missouri. It stretches all the way up to Macon, down to Columbia, over to Harrisonville, and way south. What's your take on that? Is that something that you're positioning yourself against?
Well, definitely. I mean, one of my main platforms is what I call house cleaning reforms. Campaign finance reform, we've got to get the money out of our elections. Lobbying reform, we've got to get the power out of the lobbyist hands. And redistricting reform, again, we've got to make sure that our voters are choosing their congressmen and not their congressmen choosing their voters. I mean, we saw that in this district in 2010 when the current congresswoman was voted in and her party drew the districts or gerrymandered the district by cutting out Ike Skelton's hometown, by cutting out Jefferson City, by bringing Boone County from the northeast into the southwest. So it's all of it designed to keep that party in power, and that's not what this government was founded on. This government was founded on the voice of the people speaking and electing their elected officials, and so we need to make sure that that's protected.
Okay, and I want to shift to a major issue in this election, healthcare. And I just wonder what your take is on healthcare. It's a major, like I said, it's a major issue. There are a lot of ideas on the left, on the right. Many support repeal. What's your take on healthcare? Should there be Medicare expansion? Should we have Medicare for all? What would you support?
Well, definitely we need to ensure that our people have the health care they need without the financial hardships. I mean, it is a situation where we have profiteering level profit in the pharmaceutical companies and in the insurance companies. And I would submit that that is largely driven, again, by the lobbying. The lobbyists are very powerful. Our Congress could very easily vote to make health care affordable and accessible. They could definitely make that happen. It's about political will, really. Our current Congresswoman has voted to cut Medicare. She has voted to cut pre-existing condition protections. She has voted to repeal the ACA, which is providing health care to so many people. I mean, there are thousands more people insured with the ACA than there were before the ACA. This Congresswoman has literally voted to legislate a health care act that would have dropped 24 million Americans off health care altogether, 40,000 Missourians off health care in Missouri 4 alone. And what we really need to be doing is expanding. We need to expand Medicare. We need to create a national formulary so that we can negotiate pharmaceutical prices, and we need to cap these medical costs. We need to treat our medical costs much more like utilities. so that we can, yes, have profits in pharmaceuticals and technology, innovation, but we need to ensure that our medical care is affordable for the American public. I have personally had 4 people tell me they've had elderly relatives die because they could not afford to fill their prescriptions in the United States of America, while we allow profiteering level profits in the pharmaceutical industry. And our Congress is complicit in this. This Congress has sabotaged the ACA and then tries to tell the public that it doesn't work. And they do that with VA healthcare system as well. It's underfunded, and while they're voting to underfund it, essentially they're trying to tell the public that the VA healthcare system doesn't work and it needs to be privatized. So it's a duplicity, and it needs to stop. And at the very baseline, we need to ensure that no one dies over someone else's profiteering level profits. It's outrageous.
Now, like you said, you're hearing from people on the ground about healthcare specifically. What else are you hearing from constituents or potential constituents on the ground?
Well, there is a lot of concern over pre-existing conditions. And again, this Congress and this Congresswoman have repeatedly tried to repeal the pre-existing condition protections that were implemented in the ACA. And people are very concerned about that because most people have pre-existing conditions. And when you think about it, it's already so expensive to purchase insurance. And then you have a deductible, and you have co-pays and pharmaceuticals. Healthcare expenses right now are at minimum 25% of a family's take-home pay. If you're not going to cover the pre-existing conditions, you have that expense plus the additional expense of paying for healthcare for the problem that you actually have to deal with. So you're basically selling someone healthcare and not actually covering their problem.
So that's your view on healthcare. It's pretty clear. When people wake up on November 6th, why should they say, today I'm going to vote for Renee Hoagenson, I'm not going to vote for Vicky Hartzler? What's your final message to people on Election Day?
Well, I believe that a representative should represent the voice of the people of their district, and that is what I am committed to. I am committed to listening to and being available to the people of this district, and this sitting Congresswoman has been neither of those. She is not available. She does not hold town halls. I cannot tell you the number of people who have told me that they have tried to reach out to her and not been able to speak with her or in any way interact with her. I mean, she basically is hiding. It seems to me there's just no real representation there, and I believe that fundamental to the job is to be available. And my commitment is to do at least one town hall per month, even while I'm in session, to come home on the weekends and do at least one town hall every month somewhere in Missouri's fourth. So I will be here, I will be available, I will be listening, and I will take your voice to the House floor. I will take your voice into legislation, the needs of your family. I believe that we need to be creating an environment in which Missourians can do well, in which we invest in rural Missouri again, and we create an environment so that people can have their needs met and they can work 40 hours a week and make a living for their family and have human dignity. We need to be investing in rural America and helping it grow again. It's been shrinking for the last 40 years, its economy, its opportunities, and its population. And we need to be investing in rural Missouri again. So please vote for me November 6th, and I look forward to serving you in Congress.